satisfy their greedy desires. There was no accountability, and the Khilafah had become somewhat of a blood right. During these difficult times, Allah Ta'ala blessed the Ummah with the great character of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz through the death of the young Khalifa Sulaiman. Upon his deathbed, he realized that all of his children were all very young, and thus he was left to appoint his distant cousin Umar as Khalifa. When Umar ibn Abdul Aziz came to know of his nomination, he became extremely distressed, as he considered the Khilafah to be a serious responsibility. And so much so that he would later say, "By Allah, how I wish that there was between me and this office the distance between the East and the West." After his nomination, he addressed the people saying, "O people, the responsibilities of the Khilafah have been thrust upon me without my desire or your consent. If you choose to select someone else as your Khalifa, I will immediately step aside and will support your decision." The people knew of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz's good character, piety, and adherence to the Sunnah, and were longing for a return to the days of Rasulullah ﷺ and the rightly guided Khulafa. And thus, they unanimously accepted him, saying, "O Umar, we have full faith in you, and we want you as our Khalifa." Umar then replied, saying, "O people, obey me so long as I obey Allah Ta'ala, and if I disobey Allah Ta'ala, you are not bound to obey me." Umar ibn Abdul Aziz then took up the seemingly impossible task of returning the Islamic nation back into a nation of people who obeyed the laws of Allah Ta'ala above all else. As soon as he accepted the responsibility of Khilafah, Umar renounced all the luxuries which he had previously enjoyed and was accustomed to, discarding servants, slaves, horses, perfumes, palaces, robes, estates, and returned them all to the public treasury. He considered all such things to be unnecessary, and thus unlawful for him to use from the wealth of the Muslim state. He made such a drastic change that a contemporary later said, "Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was appointed Khalifa after the Jummah prayer. By Asr, I could not recognize him." Umar then lived the rest of his life as a Khalifa in simplicity, living in a small house, wearing rough clothes, eating simple meals, and watching his expenses. Thus, he began his Khilafah first and foremost by reforming himself. He then focused his attention to reforming his relatives, the ruling Umayyads. He abolished many of their corrupt practices by which some of the Umayyads had become rich, powerful, and abusive. One such practice was that they would take the jizya, which was a protective tax taken from non-Muslims, even after such people had accepted Islam. Umar abolished this and encouraged inviting non-Muslims to Islam, sending out various emissaries to rulers across the world, inviting them to embrace Islam. It was during his era that Islam took roots and was accepted by a large segment of the population in Persia and Egypt. As a result of this, some of the corrupt members of his family complained that this increase in conversions would lead to a decrease in their revenues. Umar rebuked them and said that he had accepted the Khilafah to invite people to Islam, not to become a tax collector. Because of his generous reforms and leniency, the people began to willingly give their charity and zakat to the extent that the annual revenue from Persia alone quadrupled during his rule. The result of this was that Allah Ta'ala blessed the Islamic world during his rule of the short rule of 2.5 years, and people had become so content and prosperous that one could hardly find a person who was eligible for zakat. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was a Khalifa of many firsts. He was the first Khalifa to commission a translation of the Holy Qur'an from Arabic into another language. Upon the request of the Raja of Sindh, he had the Qur'an translated into the ancient Sindhi language, and he had it sent to the Raja. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was also the first Khalifa to order an official collection of ahadith, fearing that some of the sacred words of Rasulullah ﷺ might be lost. Numerous scholars from across the Islamic world answered his call and took up this project to safeguard the sayings of our beloved Prophet ﷺ. He was also the first Khalifa to turn his attention away from external conquest. He recalled the Muslim armies from the borders of France, India, and Constantinople. And it was during his rule that internal uprisings and disturbances ceased, peace and prosperity reigned, and the true faith taught by Rasulullah ﷺ flourished once again. To give us an understanding of the concern and worry that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz had for the Ummah, it is related from his wife that once she found him weeping after the Tahajjud prayer, and she asked him what distressed him. He replied saying, "I have been made ruler of the Muslims, And I was thinking of the poor who are starving, the sick who are destitute, the naked who are in distress, the oppressed that are stricken, the stranger that is in prison, the venerable elder, and him that has a large family and small means. And I realized that Allah Ta'ala would ask me and question me about all of them on the Day of Judgment. And I feared that no defense would avail me, and thus I wept. Such was the concern that he had for the Ummah, and for answering before Allah Ta'ala, that it kept him awake at night, restless. But alas, such an influential and righteous character was not free from the ill intentions of society. Some corrupt previous possessors of power could not tolerate their loss of control and their loss of self-proclaimed right to luxury, prestige, and finances. Thus, a slave was bribed to poison Umar. When he felt the effects of the poison, he called for the slave and asked him why he had done this. The slave replied, saying that he was given 1,000 dinars just to do this task. The Khalifa took the amount from him and deposited it into the public treasury. He then freed the slave and told him to leave the place at once, lest anyone might avenge his murder by killing him. And thus, nearing his death, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, his final acts in this worldly abode before returning to his Lord were of forgiveness and of donation to the welfare of the Muslim Ummah, for which he had dedicated his life to. From the exemplary life of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, we understand how a true leader should act and live, regardless of the pressure from the people around him. If we could summarize the principles by which Umar ibn Abdul Aziz carried out his leadership, it would undeniably be to never forsake the foundations laid out by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on how a Muslim should interact with those around him, whether above him or below him. He treated everyone according to their full right and honor given to them in Islam, and would not waver in the slightest. Nowadays, we are so quick to forsake our stance as Muslim, out of fear of people's remarks, people's negative remarks, let alone any physical retaliation. Whereas from the life of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, we can understand that true honor and respect lies in completely following the tenets laid out by the noble Qur'an and our illustrious prophets of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is imperative for us to follow these tenets, whether it be in our dealing with our people or in carrying out of our responsibilities in our houses, workplaces, or community. These are just some of the valuable lessons that we can learn from our own great history as Muslims. So may Allah Ta'ala give us a tawfiq to understand and inculcate these noble qualities of our pious predecessors. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Allahumma zid fazid takbir. May Allah subhanahu bless the ummah with a leader like Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the ummah with the qualities of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. It seems like the world has no deficit of bad leaders nowadays. So we could definitely use a couple of good leaders. With this we conclude our introductory student program. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us, bless all the students, bless their families, bless their teachers, bless the community as well as the entire ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and allow us to take benefit from the Holy Qur'an and the teachings of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to the fullest extent. Inshallah, from now we will continue to the main part of the program in which the Hufad that are graduating this year, the graduating Hufad will inshallah recite for us now. Mulana for us? No. Haji Sahab, inshallah please, if you can make your way to the front. Inshallah, the first Hafiz reciting inshallah will be Hafiz Ahmed Dominguez. Hafiz Ahmed Dominguez.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا صدق الله مولانا العظيم.
تكبير الله تكبير الله أكبر.
MashaAllah. Next we will call up Hafiz Ubaid Khan. Hafiz Ubaid Khan.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم طه ما أنزلنا عليك القرآن لتشقى إلا تذكرة لمن يخشى تنزيلا ممن خلق الأرض والسماوات العلى الرحمن على العرش استوى له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى وإن تجهر بالقول فإنه يعلم السر وأخفى الله لا إله إلا هو له الأسماء الحسنى صدق الله العظيم.
الله أكبر.
Inshallah, next we will call up Hafiz Ahmed Siddiqui.
इसका वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दें जरा.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذا ما أنزل سورة نظر بعضهم إلى بعض هل يراكم من أحد ثم نظروا صرف الله قلوبهم بأنهم قوم لا يفقهون لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم فإن تولوا فقل حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, next we will call up Hafiz Abdul Rahman Qureshi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوا يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء والله على كل شيء قدير آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, next we'll call up Hafiz Abdullah Had Kafari.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حميم تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم ما خلقنا السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إلا بالحق وأجل مسمى والذين كفروا عما أنذروا معرضون قل أرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله أروني ماذا خلقوا من الأرض أم لهم شرك في السماوات ائتوني بكتاب من قبل هذا أو أثارة من علم إن كنتم صادقين ومن أضل ممن يدعو من دون الله من لا يستجيب له إلى يوم القيامة وهم عن دعائهم غافلون صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, next we will call up Hafiz Mirban Baramana. Hafiz Mirban. Inshallah, after they finish, we'll pray Maghrib Salah, inshallah. After they finish, we'll pray Maghrib Salah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفحسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم ومن يدع مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به فإن إنما حسابه عند ربي ولا خوف حسابه عند ربي إنه لا يفلح الكافرون وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. صدق الله.
Takbir. So next we will call up Hafiz Fardeen Akbar Ali. Hafiz Fardeen Akbar Ali.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله لنريه من آياتنا إنه هو السميع البصير. وآتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلناه هدى لبني إسرائيل ألا تتخذوا من دوني وكيلا ذرية من حملنا مع نوح إنه كان عبدا شكورا. وقضينا إلى بني إسرائيل في الكتاب لتفسدن في الأرض مرتين ولتعلن علوا كبيرا. فإذا جاء وعد أولاهما بعثنا عليكم عبادا لنا أولي بأس شديد فجازوا خلال الديار وكان وعدا مفعولا. صدق الله العظيم.
So next we'll call up Hafiz Luqman Isa.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را. تلك آيات الكتاب المبين. إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون. نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين. إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين. وكذلك يجتبيك ربك ويعلمك من تأويل الأحاديث ويتم نعمته عليك وعلى آل يعقوب كما أتمها على أبويك من قبل إبراهيم وإسحاق إن ربك عليم حكيم. صدق الله العظيم.
تكبير. الله أكبر.
Inshallah, next we'll call up Hafiz Abdul Malik Sayyid.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما أبرئ نفسي إن النفس لأمارة بالسوء إلا ما رحم ربي إن ربي غفور رحيم. وقال الملك ائتوني به أستخلصه لنفسي فلما كلمه قال إنك اليوم لدينا مكين أمين. قال اجعلني على خزائن الأرض إني حفيظ عليم. وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من نشاء ولا نضيع أجر المحسنين ولأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون. صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, next we will call up Hafiz. Big list, mashallah, we have 11 to. Isa Dominguez. Inshallah, Hafiz Isa Dominguez.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده ولا مولود هو جاز عن والده شيئا إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرحام وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت. إن الله عليم خبير. صدق الله العظيم.
Inshallah, last but not least, inshallah, we'll call up Hafiz Adam Uddin. Hafiz Adam Uddin, number 11.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما. صدق الله العظيم.
تكبير تكبير.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it's a great ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's a blessing to see all of you here, and we once again welcome and with open arms we embrace all of you for attending and visiting. In reality, what is your place in your efforts, and what is the result of your heartfelt desire and support? All of these students that we saw before us, those who gave the bayans, those who sang the nasheed, the hufad that all recited here today, these are all the results of what little support you provide to institutions like this. This is in reality, sometimes we give money and sometimes we give whatever it is, even a helping word or a supporting word, or we show our support. All of this, we don't realize how it translates into the lives of these children. So alhamdulillah, what you're witnessing and the hufad that you heard reciting before you today is nothing more than a result of your own efforts. So alhamdulillah, we once again invite and we once again welcome everybody that is here. Inshallah, we will call the azan now and we'll have Salatul Maghrib. After Salatul Maghrib, inshallah, there will be, we will begin again the program with the recitation of the Qur'an and Tartil by Qari Safiullah, and then we will have our guest speaker, Allama al-Sheikh Hadrat Qadi Fadlullah Damat Barakatuhum, who is not a stranger to any one of us. He's visited us on many occasions and he has blessed us with his presence on many occasions, and we've benefited from his knowledge, his immense knowledge on many occasions. So inshallah, we will have that part of the program after Salat al-Maghrib. Also, some of you or many of you may be wondering that Sheikh or my father is not, you don't see him. He was actually here, he's actually here, but there was some unforeseen circumstance that he couldn't make it. Inshallah, he'll try to be here as soon as possible, or if he gets the opportunity. But inshallah, he asked that the program continue as normal and as it usually would. So inshallah, after the Salat al-Maghrib, we will pray Salat al-Maghrib and we will continue with the program, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan.
These are the Hafiz, the new Hafiz of the Quran. They have just